Question. It's a real easy one. What shows are you guys stoked for coming up this summer that you're going to? I got one just recently. Yesterday, I got tickets to the Surf City Blitz going on in Huntington Beach, California, and I am going on day 2. Who's on day 2, you ask? Bad Religion, Social Distortion, The Interrupters, and Rancid. Yes! Yeah, you know what's crazy, too? Day 1, Offspring and Pennywise. Pennywise I enjoy a lot. Offspring, And, I was just so confused. I was so interested as to why the days were so stacked. You know what I mean? Like, day 1, like, I wouldn't have even, like, turned my head for day 1. They'd be like, Pennywise and Offspring. I've seen Pennywise. Offspring, I've actually seen Offspring, but I have no desire to see them again. I mean, I saw them just because they were at a festival, and they were playing right before the band I went to see, which was The Cure. So I was like, okay, cool. But, I mean, whatever. They are what they are. They're very, in my opinion, a very dated band. Smash did great for what it was because it came out. If Smash would have came out in like, the 2000s, it would have been a mediocre album as far as how it was received. I truly believe it would have been a mediocre album at best. And I think that Out Come the Wolves would have outsold it by a buttload. But it had that 90s rock feel about it. It was the right music at the right time, so Smash blew the fuck up. I don't think it's all that great of an album. My personal opinion, I'm indifferent to The Offspring. I think they were kind of overrated in the 90s, and that shows because they haven't stood the test of time to today. But anyway, I just don't know why those days are so stacked. What I think it is, I think that maybe nobody wanted to play with The Offspring, so they all drew straws, and then Fletcher from Pennywise drew the shortest because he was, like, drinking. Well, the rest of them were going, not it. Like, Greg Graffin was like, not it. And Tim Armstrong was like, not it. Mike Ness was like, not it. And then he combed his hair back. And then Fletcher was like, shit, I was drinking. Wait, what do we have to do? You guys have to play with The Offspring. And he was like, oh, shit. The rest of Pennywise yelled at him. So anyway, what shows are you guys looking forward to? Kenny G concert? That will probably be violent, actually. You might want to be careful there. Kenny G is known as the Gigi Allen of smooth jazz. Like, as far as I know, Kenny G ends every show sticking his clarinet up his ass. That's like what he's just like, rock and roll, and then he just shoves it right on up there. That's, to my knowledge, now I've never been to a Kenny G show. That might not be true, but that's what the hearsay is on Kenny G is ggallen.blogspot.com. A website that someone needs to make. Somebody make that freaking website. Pennywise makes me nostalgic for every surf video in the 90s. Yeah, me too. You know what really makes me nostalgic for, like, I grew up in a landlocked place, so surfing wasn't necessarily the subculture I had in my backyard. But I was a skating guy, and what really makes me nostalgic for a lot of, like, those skateboarding days in high school is whenever I hear, like, Revelation Records, early 90s hardcore, like Youth of Today, or 7 Seconds, or Gorilla Biscuits, stuff like that, which I admittedly I don't listen to a lot of that stuff anymore. But I like watching local punk bands in Toronto at Cherry Colas or Bovine. Cool. I got to check it out. Epic show at the end of this summer will be Under Oath and Dance Gavin Dance. Chris, that sounds awesome. And you know what's funny is that I told this story about I told this story the other day. I forget why. You know what? You know why I was in Chicago with one of my college buddies, and then I ran into a comedy buddy of mine randomly at this punk bar, and we were just a couple, aging punk rock dudes, so we were exchanging stories, and we talked about different waves that went on, and we talked about, like, all the Christian ska that happened, and we talk about how even though none of us identified as Christian even back then, we all found ourselves at some point or another at a church. That's my ride. I gotta go. Those sirens are so freaking loud. We all at one point or another ended up at a church for a show, just because that's where the show we wanted to see was. And we exchanged stories about that. And getting to Under Oath, not Under Oath, but the band that came before Under Oath, a band called Berlin, I totally went to see them do a show at this church with some youth group that a friend of mine was in. And I just went because I wanted to see them. They're a good band. I wanted to see them, and it was free. But it was kind of like you had to be like religion-esque. So I just made up the church that I told them I went to because I didn't go to one. And then they tried to talk me into joining theirs. Like I was brought up Catholic. So I was just like, yeah, I go to the Catholic church, and I'm active in the youth group there. And they were like, well, Ron, we got some issues with that. And to me, it was just like, I wasn't into it. I was pretty much, an atheist / agnostic / whatever you want to call it at that point. So I was just like, yeah, I'm really having a lot of questions. Like, I just made it up so I could go to the show for free. Can you skank at church, Daniel, if you try hard enough? I will never forget my favorite Christian ska band, Fire Arm Frenzy. Exactly, they're so good. They were a fantastic band. And then a lot of these bands, they're subtle about it, so you don't even know they're Christian. Then you find out they're coming, and it was at a church. I don't know if that stuff still goes on. I'd imagine it does. But yeah, there were some great bands that did happen to be Christian bands. And then they made it out like they were, the reason they weren't bigger was because they were Christian. And I remember when I was in high school, I thought, actually, I think it's the opposite. I think it helps you guys because you, most of the people, most of the punks and stuff, as long as you're not, beat them over the head preachy about it, they don't care. They're like, you guys are good people. You have beliefs. That's okay. We don't judge you. Don't judge us for not having them. And we don't mind going into this church to see your show. And that's the end of it, But I think, some people on the other side of that like them just because they were Christian. They would only listen to Christian bands. So just the fact, their album could have been them farting on a snare drum. And, they'd be like, yeah, they're close to Jesus. You know what I mean? All right. I'm talking about shit that was relevant over 15 years ago, and no one gave a shit about it then. So, wait, one of you guys brought up a show that I need to ask you about before we move on here. Oh, Mike S. D.I. Adolescence, The Circle Jerks. Is that something you went to see in the past, or is that something that's happening? And if it's happening, where the hell is it happening? Because I got to get my tickets. I'm really hoping the answer to that question is L.A. And Johnny Lang, I had no idea Johnny Lang was still around. So Mike S., let me know. If that show is happening, I think you might be talking about something from your past, but if that show is happening, holy shit, please let me know when that's happening. We ain't going anywhere till I find out what's going on with this Circle Jerk show. Regarding Circle Jerks, you really want to make sure that the radius is large enough. I think it's from the past. I think so too, Daniel. But, I don't know. Keith Morris still does stuff around town in L.A. He does book readings and stuff like that. He still does. It's Monday morning, guys. Come on. It's Monday morning. That'll be a fantastic show. All right. I'm not hearing from you, Mike S. I hope you're still around here. I hope you didn't have to bounce. I bounced and then Ron asked me a question. But let me know. I'm thinking that's probably in the past. But just in case. God, I got to know for sure. All right. No, I was just listening. Oh, okay. All right. Got it, Mike. All right. I was going to say, if that show is coming up, I'm getting my tickets immediately. Dare to dream, right?
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? Getting